All right, good morning, folks. Thank you for joining us today. It is February 6th, 2026, and this is Alta California Regional Center's weekly service provider meeting, Alta with Coffee with Community Services. Thank you for joining us. My name is John Decker. I'm the Director of Community Services. We've got a number of community services staff on this morning. We've got Shauna and Janice. We've got Boyd, Odelia, Allison, and Tom, and Alejandra, and my assistant Zach, and Michael Mercado, and Alicia, and Christy, and Mason, and Brandy. From client services, we have our client services manager, Veronica, on. Good morning. Additionally, from community services, we have our manager, Scott, on for QA and compliance. We've got Yvette, Christine, and Beverly from community services as well. From client services this morning, we have BJ Thompson. Good morning. We've got, additionally from community services, our manager, Helen. We have Sammy Lynn on as well. We've got Ebony. We've got Rhonda, our housing specialist. Monet. Good morning. Carly, Hubert, Alina, Wason, our manager, Michelle, from community services. Good morning, guys. From client services, we've got a couple more managers on. We've got Heather on. Good morning, Heather Hollingworth. And good morning, Dana, as well. I know we go through this exercise every week when we do this, and I know a lot of people are repeat visitors, but we do sometimes have new vendors that we recommend participate in this. And it is nice to kind of sometimes put a face to our staff in our community services department, and also to introduce you to sometimes to our managers as well that you may interact with. For our agenda today, we don't have a huge agenda. We will get into Michael's Deaf Culture 101 and Sign of the Week. We are going to share the new trailer bill language that has been posted and discuss that with you all briefly, talk about where we're at within our budget cycle. We're going to share about the upcoming legislative hearings that you will all be available to watch or attend if you'd like. A discussion, we met with, excuse me, our accounting department. So we're going to have a discussion about the hold harmlesses and the change of rates through rate reform. And time permitting, we'll get into our year in review. And then we also have a spotlight that we'll be doing probably mid-meeting for Alchemy. But now I'm going to throw it over to Michael Mercado.
Good morning. Okay, our signs of the week. We have two events. One sign is related to Super Bowl. The other is for the Olympics that are going to be opening, I think, today or this weekend. Our first one is going to be bring snacks. So you go, you watch football. The second sign will be Winter Olympics, and then third will be opening ceremony. So first will be bring snacks. So you have your two hands, you're going to flip them palm up and move them forward. So bring, and then snacks. So you're going to do like this pinching and a flicking motion into your mouth for snacks. So picture like, sometimes you'll flick a piece of food in the air and try to catch it in your mouth, snacks. So we'll do it together. So bring snacks. Awesome. Now our second one will be the Olympics. So first sign is winter. You're going to make closed fists and almost like you're shivering. So that's winter. And then Olympics, it's a little trickier. You're going to do thumb and pointer finger. You're going to connect the one, flip it, and connect. So Olympics. So doing it together, it would be Winter Olympics. Third is opening ceremony. So for opening, palms down, open. So picture almost like you're opening a door. So opening and then ceremony. This is the hand shape. Palms are facing back and you go in circles. All right, we'll do those now together. So it would be opening, ceremony. All right, now we'll do all three of them. So starting with bring snacks. Now, Winter Olympics and opening ceremony. Good job. So I'll make sure to send that link so you can practice some more. Next week, we're going to have some signs focused on Valentine's Day. I'm sure you all are very excited to learn those signs that have a little bit of a theme for Valentine's Day. Okay, so now for deaf culture. If you all have deaf coworkers or you know someone in the deaf community, maybe you have a family member, a friend, anyone that you want to give something to, and maybe you're not sure what type of gift to give or what they would want. The answer could be anything related to American Sign Language. So this could be ASL accessories or apparel. It could be jewelry. There are a lot of deaf artists who make sign language items, and they can be really easily recognized. So ASL is movement. So to make that 2D or 3D is very difficult to create art, but they're so innovative and they're experts at their craft. So they make different gifts. We'll give some examples of some deaf ASL art. So I'll show you some examples. So my mom went to an art class and they all signed. It was either family or deaf individuals, and they did painting, and this is what they did. So you can see, so it's a hand making the I love you hand shape. So that's the sign for I love you. So the pinky is I, then L for love, and Y for you. So doing all three of those letters, that's the hand shape. So that many deaf artists will use the I love you sign in their art. Some will be signs. They might use different letters of the alphabet, those hand shapes. It's great to buy from deaf artists in their work because they're small businesses. They understand deaf culture. They understand the community. They are innately use sign language. These big businesses, they tend to copy a different artist because it looks cool. But really, they are not really aware of ASL culture or the language. Some bigger businesses will collaborate with deaf artists to help them to sell items. For example, Starbucks will collaborate with deaf artists who might paint or create designs for mugs. I'll show you an example of that. So this is a mug from Starbucks, and they collaborated with a Chinese artist who is they themselves are deaf, and they designed this piece, collaborated, and it was a limited edition sale, and deaf and hard of hearing individuals went and it sold out quickly. So as you can see on the design, so it's kind of a progressive sign. So it's the sign for connect. So they're showing that sign in an image. And then it has also a little tag with a description of the artist. And so it's very cool. It explains about this artist, their life, their art, what that connection with Starbucks was like. And so maybe you could buy some deaf art for yourself or for a friend or family member. I'll share some examples of ASL artists and ASL gifts. So, are you able to see my screen? So as you can see, there's shirts, Deaf Kids Rock, and it can feel very inspirational. They have different things for sale. They have stickers, they have post-it notes, bookmarks, caps, bags, all different sorts of things that you can purchase. With Valentine's Day coming up, they have different colored shirts that are specifically for Valentine's Day. You can see like the candy heart, and maybe you could use it for an upcoming holiday, Halloween, Christmas. They typically will have different apparel for that, and you could get that as a gift. And then another example. Some of you remember a few weeks ago, I taught you the signs for the days of the week. And they actually have magnets that someone has created that show you the day of the week in English with the ASL sign. Another example, so you can see this necklace using the sign language alphabet, you can actually write out, tell them what name you want written on either a necklace or a bracelet. So I could get a bracelet that had Michael in sign language letters. So there are so many different artists that we could look at. As you see ASL art around, make sure to double check who created it. Are they deaf or hard of hearing? Are they involved in the deaf community? Maybe you could reach out, and they have so many beautiful things. And now you'll know what you could give to a deaf coworker, friend, or family member. I'll provide a few different links for you to be able to check online yourself as well. All right, thank you so much.
And thank you very much, Michael. I
Does
also,
anyone have any questions? Sorry to interrupt, about
yeah,
anything I just spoke about. No? Okay. Thank you, guys.
I also want to thank and acknowledge Michael for working with me this week. We had a request from the Department of Developmental Services to meet with a company that, and I'll share my screen and talk about it very briefly, but that can provide support to our population of deaf individuals. And so just wanted to share with folks that Michael and myself, our staff here at Alta, are certainly willing to take on meetings to talk about bringing possibly new types of technology solutions. Are we seeing IRA's website? Yes. So we had an opportunity along with Lisa Gonzalez from the Department of Developmental Services and some of the Department of Developmental Services staff that are overseeing the state's assistive technology pilot to meet with this company and talk about what they do. I'm not super familiar if anyone has used them previously, but it does provide opportunities for on-demand ASL interpretation on your phone, and that there's also opportunities to create different locations where specific ASL interpretation is provided. So, for example, what they mentioned is that the Sacramento airport, they have a contract where that whole area is covered by the app that they serve. So, anyways, just wanted to thank Michael for supporting me in that meeting with the Department of Developmental Services. And as you guys know, Rhonda and others at our regional center working really hard to try to find some of these smart technology solutions. So always a great opportunity to meet with new types of companies that we may be able to partner with to better serve individuals. Right. I wanted to briefly go over the budget trailer bill before we do our spotlight, just so I can kind of talk with folks a little bit about what the proposed changes that we are looking at least the ones that are most impactful, I think, for our service providers. And then additionally, I think I'll be able to drop the links in the chat for the upcoming legislative hearings for both the Assembly and Senate. So this is a weird time of year. It's February. I cannot recall a time where we've had trailer bill released this early. Typically, we're having these discussions in the month of May. But I want to hit on some major trailer bill highlights, and then I'm actually going to open it up to share some information that directly impacts you as service providers. So I have my highlights over here real quickly. Thankful for, of course, the Association of Regional Center Agencies and all the advocacy groups that review this and provide us these great summaries to make it a little bit easier to understand these changes. One thing of note of this is that there's not a ton of big implementation activities that are being proposed within this budget trailer bill. And part of that is there's a deficit that is being, proposed. There's different, takes on how big the state budget deficit is going to be. The Legislative Analyst's Office doesn't think that some of the revenues that we're thinking we're going to generate, we're actually going to generate, and therefore, budget deficit could be maybe as big as 16 billion. I think the governor's office was talking about more something like, 3 billion. And so we shall see how that all shakes out. How it impacts us is that when there's not a bunch of extra money, we typically don't have a bunch of additional trailer bill types of things to implement as regional centers. But again, there are some things that are impactful. So with that, we have one of them is DDS gets the opportunity to contract with a new consultant to carry out rate model implementation without having to go through the Department of General Services typical contracting process. So it seems like they're wanting to speed up and maybe change direction faster with the consultants that they're working with. Some of you will remember a few years ago, they created a position that was like a regional center liaison with the Department of Education. I think currently that position is Jennifer Bloom, our Director of Client Services. They are getting rid of that position. And also there was some, as it related to early start services, some requirements of Department of Developmental Services and Department of Education to work collaboratively together, and they are striking some of that as well. And my understanding is that some of that that collaboration never really materialized on the Department of Education side of things. Significant amount of money put it forth for the LOIS program. LOIS is our Life Outcomes Improvement System. I think that's what it stands for. And that is our new case management system that is replacing the state's, utilization of SANDIS and UFIS, which is our financial management system for the regional centers. And it would be combining it into one public facing, excuse me, database that would allow things like service providers to be able to look at their, authorizations and families to be able to pull up their client records immediately. As it relates to Lois, I will share DDS's calendar, but there are going to be numerous opportunities over the next few years to be able to give community input into what our computer systems should be looking at. That may be doing things like expanding the type of data that we keep as regional centers, et cetera. So just when there are opportunities, these things are directly impactful to you as service providers. Much like the quality assurance stuff, I just encourage you when DDS offers opportunities for feedback that you guys lend your stakeholder voices. That said, the Little Hoover Commission, I was gone last week, so didn't have an opportunity to discuss kind of that testimony that occurred, but we did have an opportunity to have some families served and an advocate from Disability Voices United and Amy Westling from the Association of Regional Center Agencies and Pete Chervinka, the director of DDS, all speak to the Little Hoover Commission. And I just wanted to note that as it relates to Lois, we're looking at like 2030 or 2031 for implementation. So for those of you at the regional center that not super hot on having to change computer systems very frequently, we've got a while to go before it looks like the next change is going to occur from the department related to that. But there's plenty of money that is put in the budget to fund that. I am going to, let's see here, I'm going to actually share my screen now and hit on a couple things that I feel like are important for us as regional center staff, as well as you as service providers. So some of the things that I'm going to talk about right now, if you follow like the advocacy kind of hearings, or if you're familiar with what some of the like large stakeholder concerns that have been raised by people throughout the state are, you can kind of understand why some of these things got written in to the budget trailer bill. So one of them, and again, if you listen to, like, for example, that Little Hoover Commission testimony a couple weeks ago, there was a big push to really make the provider directory public facing as soon as possible and to knock down the barriers that exist to being able to possibly serve individuals across multiple regional centers. So with that, I noticed this here, no later than March 1st of 2028, the department shall end the practice and process known as courtesy vendorization. Thereafter, service providers seeking to provide services through authorization from more than one regional center shall not be required to seek vendorization from regional centers beyond their initially vendorizing regional center. Service providers shall give preference to providing services to individuals served by the service providers initially vendorizing regional center. There's a number of like issues that kind of arise as we look at how we would operationalize and implement just one list statewide of service providers. Currently, we have a process where regional centers connect with each other to find out whether or not there's, for example, any active corrective action plans, or if there's any active fiscal issues that are going on with a service provider before we let the other regional center become what we know it says, which is user regional center. Courtesy vendorizations traditionally are something different than that. Courtesy vendorizations would be like if I asked North Bay Regional Center to vendor something that they don't have vendored already so that we can utilize it for one of our clients. But regardless, it's all going to be the same, whether it's courtesy vendorization or the user regional center vendorization, user regional center being us asking another regional center to use their vendorization. The department's just basically saying you're going to be get vendored once with one vendoring regional center. Everyone is going to have access to that vendorization. And you should, as service providers, give preference to the regional center that initially vendored you. So we've got until March of 2028 to implement that. And again, I feel like that is in direct kind of response to a lot of concerns that were raised. And I will say very honestly from you guys, there's been lots of discussions about a lack of consistency between regional centers when it comes to things like vendorization procedures. And I think they, in the hope of standardizing things, want to remove as much administrative burden that may exist for service providers that want to serve multiple regional center catchment areas. So that was something that was added in there. You can always tell the stuff that's added because it's underlined. So I'm gonna just scroll and hopefully not make anyone feel sick and share another thing that is impactful. And this is board compositions and executive director oversight. So some regional centers um, have had some, and it has been, I should say this, it has been expressed to the legislature that there are issues as it relates to board governance for regional centers, and that there some reform activities may need to be put in place. That was something that was brought up as well during the Little Hoover Commission testimony, and there was a response that the department is putting forth language that is going to add some new requirements to regional centers as it relates, as I say, to board governance, executive director oversight. So with that, you can see what I'm sharing here, and I'll drop the link in the chat so you guys can read all this stuff in depth if you want to. But in essence, what it's saying is that the composition of our board of directors needs to look a little bit different than it currently does. And there needs to be things like, legal expertise, management expertise, board governance expertise, fiscal or financial expertise, and expertise as it relates to developmental disability programs, but not as like a person served or like a parent or something like that. Like one of you guys being like in that type of role, someone that has that experience. And you can see the 1 year paid advocacy or 3 years of service or program administration. Additionally, requiring us to have 2 representatives for clients in the board as well. And so, stop sharing there. We already do at our regional center. We have the representative from our client advisory committee, and then we have currently another board member that actually we have 2 other board members that are regional center clients, but now it is just making those requirements. There are some other trailer bill. There are some other trailer bill things that are mentioned here, but nothing that necessarily is something I can kind of go over real quickly. There is a change. I was going over it with Scott this morning about the grievance procedure with regional centers and what that's going to look like for people that do things like 4731 complaints. And so maybe once we look at a little bit down the road how we're going to operationalize that, maybe we'll do a little discussion with you guys. We could even invite Jordan to come back, our legal services manager, to talk about it a little bit possibly in the future. So that is the trailer bill language. Any questions about that? I see, let's see. Oh, cool. I got Michael's stuff in the chat. What I will do is, as we have our spotlight next, I'll grab the information about the upcoming legislative hearings. Again, recognizing that you guys are important voices of our disability community, so want to encourage you to get involved. And there may be other things that are announced related to these hearings at our provider advisory committee meeting. So just want to put a plug in for that as well. We'll probably drop that in the chat too, the link to our upcoming provider advisory committee meeting too. But with that, I think I'm going to throw it over to Mike now, right?
Thank you. Thank you. We'll actually let Ilya, our CEO, kind of take it from here.
Right on.
Okay. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Appreciate the time to take just 5 minutes here out of your guys' day. We'll get into it. We're a software for built for ARFs, which I'll get into a little bit more. But the purpose of this is just to kind of be educational. I do have a slide at the end. If you're interested in learning more, you could reach out to us. But just to kind of give a little introduction of myself, when I was 18, my parents opened up a residential assisted living facility, so an RCFE in California, and I became employee number 1, whether I wanted to or not. And long story short is we did that for 18 years. And my mom's good friend had operated ARFs for, I think it was like 30 or 40 years. And my mother's sister also was in an ARF as well for most of her adult life. And so when we got started in this whole journey of building software for care, once we started going to conferences is when we had a lot of ARFs started coming up to us and saying, "Hey, we need something too." And you guys have most of it, but there's some other missing things that we still need, and so we've kind of developed that over time. But kind of what sets us apart, or what makes us different, or why people choose us is in large part people do want to go digital. I mean, the rest of our lives are run digital. We're doing banking that way. We're handling things mobily. This is kind of like one of those last things that just seem to still be on paper, or some of the systems that are out there are kind of old and archaic, and they don't really lend towards staff who may not be tech savvy, or who may not be comfortable with technology, or English is their second language, things like that. And so we've built it from a completely different approach. Our approach is you got to make it easy for the staff, the care staff, to be able to document and enter things in, because if it's too hard, or it doesn't make it easy on them, then you're never going to get the data that you really want and what you need to. And so we take the approach of a mobile first kind of approach to things, where staff is able to interact with what they're already used to, which is that touch interface, whether it's on a mobile device like a phone or a tablet, or even a computer. Really, we give you the power to use it in whichever way you think is best for you and your staff, uncompromising in that sense. What I mean by that, to kind of just dive a little bit further, is everything that you can do on the computer, you can do on your mobile phone or your tablet. It's not a dumbed down version. There are other products out there that have come out with apps, but they're limited in two ways. One is that they are not really a mobile app they claim to be, and then secondly is that the interface and the truly mobile, the aspect of being able to interact with it the same way you would interact with it on a computer, it ends up being a dumbed down version. So with the evolution, and as we've gotten into more and more ARFs, and that was our biggest customer growth in last year. We've developed more and more features that are specific to California ARFs. We are operating in other states, but California is the one that we got started in, and it's the one that most of our client base is in. But we have several different, we call them logs, but think of things that you're tracking on behalf of the resident, that are very specific to, a little bit to the RCFs, but more so in an ARF environment. So things like activities and outings, tracking behaviors, the money log, the attendance log, seizures, menstrual log. These are all things that are being tracked, and there's much more in the system, but these are some of the ones that I just wanted to highlight briefly here, because it is built specifically for the ARFs in mind. These particular features. And again, I got a last slide. Our team is very versed in Title 22, Title 17. So what we like to do is walk you through those different scenarios. Like, hey, regional's going to come, and I need to, have a quarterly report ready for them, or I need to be able to do this or that. Our team, they're going to be able to walk you through what that looks like. So if you decide to purchase, before you've got a good sense of what that looks like. To kind of wrap up here, some of the reasons what we've been told of why people choose Alchemy. I mean, one of the big ones is technology is becoming more and more accepted, whether it's by regional centers or by California licensing, and that's for a variety of reasons. The big one, it's making things more accurate. It's making things easier to digest. It's just making it easier on everybody. And so we've been around it's been 5 years now with customers. So we've been through several licensing audits and regional audits, and everyone's passed with flying colors. To our knowledge, we've never had any report that it went negatively because of something with the system. And the opposite is true. It's been more of, oh my gosh, I just had my regional visit or my licensing visit, and it was so much easier than when I was using X system or when I was using paper. Behavioralists love it too because again, they're able to get more accurate information, more clear information. We have a bunch of reports that are built in there. And then we're seeing that staff is actually preferring to document, again, because it's making their lives easier. And so, yeah, we're here as a resource. We have several customers in the Alta Regional Center area. I don't know if there's any on the call. I heard that I think Arvin was gonna be on, and he's been using our system, I think, for over a year. But we got several other customers that are in that area as well. So we highly encourage you if you're interested in learning more and just going through a little 15-20 minute live demo of the application. You got that QR code that you can use, or you can use alchemy.com, and you'll see in that image on the right there is just a scheduling link up in the top right. You can go ahead and schedule it that way, and we'd be happy to answer any questions if you guys have them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I just saw that you guys' information is in our chat, and that's what we want as well, so that
Okay,
folks can reach
perfect.
out to you guys directly. So as you guys are aware, this is what we like to be able to offer to folks, is opportunity to hear about some of these different types of opportunities, and recognizing that with increased costs for labor, if there are ways where we can kind of, cut some of that through utilizing, kind of smart technology solutions. Also, ways to improve care and better track care, better track care and improve care. So thank you very much for presenting this.
Absolutely. We also run day programs and childcare as well. So I mentioned ARFs, but we're on those other ones as well.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, guys. All right. I wanted to touch on Hold Harmless. We recognize that the Hold Harmless is coming to the end here in the month of February, and that there's going to be a transition to the new DDS rates for some providers effective in March. One of the things that was requested, right, Helen and Michelle, was that if you were one of those vendors that had a Held Harmless rate, please bill as soon as possible when it comes to this next month, because if there's any issues with your rates, we want to catch it as quickly as we can in accounting to get you in on the earliest check run possible. So please, we just want to ensure, especially for those, there's not a ton of service providers that this applies to. It's crazy that we are in February of 2026, and for some of Jordan Eller, who couldn't join us this morning, her team, their vendors are just getting their rates right now, and we're looking at very backwards rates that we have to increase for them. Same thing with transportation. I think we've shared with folks that we are on our third different rate methodology for transportation service providers in the last 14 months. And so that is impactful to try to implement these things. I was not able to participate in all of the meetings that the department put on related to this. I wonder, and Eric, I'd love to put you on the spot about stuff, but I wonder if you would mind giving kind of a high level of what the new rate is for transportation, the change that they made.
Yeah, I can. The new rate, let me pull up my couple screens. So the big takeaway, the highlight is that I'm trying to do this as fast as humanly possible.
Yeah.
The big takeaway is DDS are proposing to change all rates March 1st for transportation. So if you're under Hold Harmless, Harmless is ending. So that would mean your Hold Harmless ends, and you go to the DDS rate. And if you're already on the DDS rates, those existing rates they have now, they want to discontinue those at the end of February and start the new rates. So it's a new shift, and it's a new model. The old rates, if you're a Transportation 875 provider, the old rates were entirely mileage, which they've had several iterations. The last one was released and is effective January 1st. You would bill your vehicle miles. The new rate, you would bill two components. There's a vehicle rate component, which is a set 1 unit rate when your vehicle leaves the yard. So a lump sum amount when you start her out. and then a lower mileage rate. The lower, I'm going to copy the Alta rates that have been proposed for DDS. I'll put that in the chat so folks can see exactly what those rates are proposed to be. And that is, one second. Chat. There will be a directive about this. So, oh, my Excel table did not populate the way I wanted it to populate. The 174.50 that I put in the chat, that's the vehicle service rate. And so that's when the vehicle starts a route in the morning and when it starts a route in the evening. So you can have up to 2 of those per vehicle per day. You can bill the 174.50 as a one-time. And then there would be a mileage that you could also bill for every mileage that vehicle's in service, whereas 100% before 100% was mileage, now it's split up in those 2 rates. A lot of folks are doing some analysis, including myself, and what that means is there's sort of a crossover mark where if your vehicle drives 1 mile, this new rate is great for you. It generates a lot more revenue for your vehicle per day at the beginning of the route and time that vehicle's in operation. And then the longer this vehicle stays in operation, this new rate and the old rate start to meet. And at about 120 to about 140 miles, depending on your vehicle size, miles per day, this rate is the same. It'll generate the same amount of revenue as the current rates, just to give folks an idea. And then after that mileage threshold, this new rate methodology will generate less revenue than the current rates. So this new model is highly dependent on how many miles whether or not this is going to help a transportation provider or hurt them. It's going to be very sensitive to how many miles your vehicles drive and how long you operate them. And so I'm happy to talk with folks about what that looks like for you. But the key for us is the proposal is to do away with the mileage rate, to come up with a one-time, with a single rate that you bill for each route, either in the morning and the evening or both, for a vehicle as a lump sum, to take care of a lot of your fixed cost, and then a mileage rate as that vehicle stays in service and operations until that vehicle comes back in the yard. The way you bill miles, I understand, is exactly the same as the old methodology. So I won't cover that here. So what is a billable mile, I believe, is the same, or it's going to be proposed to be the same under both methodologies. It's just the amount is different. So I've not heard a lot of great things yet from this new model. So I am doing my best to gather some input. DDS is the rate questions at dds.org is the email, which I will, or somebody else will put in the chat. And I'm just highly encouraging folks, if you have questions, please engage with DDS. There was no questions at the webinar. It was informative. So it seems like they're moving forward. So if there is something that you want to give feedback on, you have questions on, if you want to be involved in that process, I'm highly recommending folks contact that rates email with Alta, and I'm sorry, with DDS. And if you want more information, happy to talk with you about it or walk you through my analysis for folks that need it.
Well, thank you very much, Eric. I appreciate it. Again, we typically have a number of transportation service providers that participate in this meeting. We also have a number that participate in our provider advisory committee meeting. And so I just, again, it's really long into this process to implement a new rate model, new rate methodologies. Again, I'm hoping that it's something that our service providers find is going to lead to more sustainability for their rates as well. So thank you very much for that.
I'm trying to find the webinar. If I can find I don't know that they posted it, but sometimes with these meetings, we're able to find recordings of it. There's not been a directive, right, John?
There has not. I will say Damien was present in the meeting and took very copious notes as well. And he's your guys' community services specialist. So if you guys needed any of you transportation providers, reach out to Damien with questions about that, because he was there as well and should be able to support you.
Yeah. Well, I'm just trying to figure out if there is if they're going to be posting that recording someplace, or if we're just waiting for a directive, because I'm trying to get people that information directly from them. So if
Well,
anybody
if they
finds
were-
that, please let me know.
If they were going to post it, we would hope that they would post it where I'm about to navigate to. So we shall see.
Maybe you'll find it.
If
but
it
it
hasn't
wasn't in
been,
the
it would
rate book.
be nice if it was. Okay, so let's go to DDS's homepage, and we will go to vendors, and we will go to rate reform, and we will go to meeting information, and whoop, upcoming meetings. Nope, meeting archive, rate reform, August 12th of 2025, transportation services. That's not going to get it done.
Yeah, that's
So
where I
this
got
week
to too.
we need the one from like a week ago. So I would hope that they would post it here. But again, and I would say if those of you that attended, like Damien, I know our accounting manager Robin was there as well. Sometimes DDS will send out the links afterwards, but if you didn't get it, Eric, then they might not have sent it out yet. But I think it's very important that they share the most updated information, especially if they described it. I know, what was that, like a year and a half ago, we actually sat down and as a group watched, remember that? We watched DDS's transportation rate
Yeah.
methodology as a group of transportation providers together. So, alrighty. Let's see here. Wanted to touch on a couple other things real quickly, and that'll be it for today. Very cool. Just if you guys are subscribed, I would encourage you to subscribe to DDS's newsletter, and you can do so by clicking this here. But DDS has done a number of spotlights of Alta service providers and of events that have gone on. And one of the things that they did was celebrated the groundbreaking of our housing project there in West Sacramento that we talked about a couple weeks ago. So anyways, just wanted to share that with folks. And I'm going to change screens and throw it over to Michelle Duchesne first.
Thank you, John. Yeah, I just wanted to remind everybody, the QIP surveys are still going on and still a requirement. The due date is quickly approaching. It's the 27th of this month. We just generated the updated list. Our numbers continue to improve. And our specialists will be reaching out to you. Primarily what we're seeing is our adult residential facilities. We have about 212 providers that have not completed that survey. We have about 133 capacity surveys that have not been completed and some minimal ones, about 23 total between our children's homes and our employment. So please keep an eye out for those emails from your specialist to be able to connect. If you have completed the survey and you are hearing from us, DDS is updating it month or weekly. They've advised, but sometimes it's not always on a Monday. So we'll check back the following week. And then also just keep proof of any completion email that you do receive. We have been getting those from our providers. Follow up with the department to let them know that it's still not current and still not updated, and just keep that for your record. So that's kind of what we're seeing. We have a couple weeks. Any questions on that? I see Andrea had her hand up.
Yeah, sorry. Not necessarily a question, but just I guess I'm just complaining. But our employment survey, I finally was able to get into it this week after having it reset multiple times from November. I have tried to complete it 6 times, and there is an error in their data that keeps kicking it back. I have reset it. They reset it again today and didn't fix it. So it's something that should be simple that's taking multiple hours, and I can't even like adjust it to make it submit. And if it has to be done by the end of February, I'm just saying that there's like an issue with that. Just kind of putting that out there as well. And I've spent like a ridiculous amount of time this week trying to do that. And I'm not getting, I guess they reset the survey, but they didn't fix the like coding error in it.
So if you can send me the most recent email, since it has been a reoccurring thing, we can definitely try to reach up to a different contact to see if we can get that corrected.
I'll forward what I said last night, just because I was like, I'm getting a little angry at it in general. So thank you.
This is the place.
Okay, thank you.
This is your safe place to make these complaints.
Yeah,
Mehdi?
Thank you.
So kind of the same. We went in, we met as a team, and we went in to try to complete the survey, and we're all ready. We all meet, and it's, as you guys know, it's hard to gather a bunch of people to meet to do this. We have multiple vendor numbers. service codes that we provide services for, and our links were expired. So we were set to go, and all our links were expired. So we, sent in a ticket to get new links sent, and I'm just waiting for that. But here we thought we were ready to go, and then, we hit a brick wall. So hopefully we'll be able to get it soon, and I hope I'm not having the same issues as Andrea was having. So hopefully we'll get solid links, but we are trying to complete that.
Yeah, Mitty,
Yeah,
you can always forward that to me as well. Sorry, John.
No, that's exactly. Yeah. Please forward those to us. I will say I got a similar complaint yesterday, shared from a provider that had issues as related to the ticket responses and opening and closing the tickets for the response. I feel like it's in the twilight zone because we're just repeating the same issues that we had for everyone trying to get into the provider directory in the first place and getting responses back. It's the same. So that being said, it's very important for us to know these things. Please definitely include Michelle Duchesne if we can, intervene and connect with the department directly. But that's just what I have heard. I have heard that this is a huge issue, not just with our service providers, and it's just a lot of people that are trying to get things resolved in a short period of time in a system that has never been tested to do it before.
I will update too is regarding our fiscal audits. The department has created a new email address for the fiscal audit questions. So our specialists have that. So if you see on there that you are compliant, we've confirmed on our end that you're compliant, and you're not seeing that update, please reach out to your specialist, reach out to me. We will be able to provide you that information so you can reach out to the department, because that's a separate email now. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, appreciate your comment there about Michelle supporting you with your audit issue there in Alliance as well. So yeah, definitely. I'd like to see a happy resolutions every once in a while to some of these issues. Just want to share a few more things before we get going. One of the things that I am happy to share is, are you guys seeing the DSP Collaborative website? Yeah. So I don't know if we've shared it here, that now it looks like this. Instead of just having Valley Mountain Regional Centers area in it and Alta California Regional Centers area, we have now included Los Angeles County as well. And so we are doing our first job fair in Los Angeles County next month, I believe, right, Carly? Is it next month? Yeah. And then we have been working very collaboratively with the 7 regional centers down in Los Angeles County to kind of spread this initiative to their area as well. So I just want to acknowledge Carly still works on this one very hard, and we're going to be meeting about it, I think, later today as well. So thank you, Carly, for that. And then on our website, let's see, you guys seeing Alta's homepage now? Yeah, right on. So on our website, I wanted to just share something real quickly. We'll get into our HCBS update maybe next week. But I wanted to get into what we shared during our community meeting that we held. I guess that was just a couple days ago. So first, it would just acknowledge we had like 10 staff that helped present at our quarterly community meeting. And all of them did a really fantastic job. And one of the things that we shared in that was Alta's year in review, our reflections. And so it's on our website, and I just encourage everyone, if you're going to go check out our newsletter, you might as well check out our end of the year reflections as well. But drop that in the chat for everyone. But it's a great opportunity, even, just to look at the amazing growth of our regional center. We're serving 36,760 individuals, supporting a lot of families as well. We have 875 employees as the end of the calendar year, with almost 250 of them being hired in the last year. And so that's a lot of new individuals that are being trained by our training department and also our dedicated managers throughout our agency. There's updates about the legal department, federal programs in here as well, just talking about some numbers about what we're looking at as far as growth. But one of the things that I appreciate that is throughout here too, in addition to talking about some of the growth activities, are also talking about some of the really positive things that we do, like as services get larger and larger, you need to be able to have accompanying things like, we need to have enough financial management services systems, or we need to ensure that we're getting the message out there about the opportunities that are available for these types of services. And so we kind of talk about some of those activities.
I'm leaving in a minute.
Updates on our professional development new professional development unit. Trisha Cummings, many of you knew for years as a client services manager, now oversees our internship program, which, has done some amazing things in the past. I don't know if we have Denise on, but Denise is one of our alumni of our MSW internship that we've had, and many of our managers have overseen those. But it was great. Christine Gamberg talked about the education support team, all the work that they've done. Dana was able to share both about the enhanced case management that she runs, that unit, and also about the outreach activities that we do. I just scroll down. Clinical stuff, awesome updates from our client advocates as well, a bunch of their activities. All of our clinicians, our training unit. Did want to touch on this little chart here, which just talks about the community services and the HCBS compliance and the complaint responses. So again, there's just some great numbers here that talk about all the things that we've done. Residential care home growth and supported living agency growth. Those have been huge activities for the expansion of services in our area, to the point where we've got a lot of homes that are really just suffering for referrals right now. And Carol, we certainly have a plethora of supported living agencies, and I know that very frequently we are hearing from them about, where are the referrals. And in situations like this, we're not saying that we don't necessarily need residential care facilities. We're not saying that we don't necessarily need supported living agencies. However, those agencies, those homes really need to take a look at where the service gaps are throughout our entire 10 counties and throughout our, in this case, 20,000 clients or so that are adults. Where are those needs at really? And those are the questions for you that are providers that are having any struggles with this. Reach out to your community services specialist, ask for a discussion with them, and we can have one about kind of what the reality is to be able to get you more referrals. It really needs to align with what our agency's needs are. And right now it's weird, but we're in a position of over resources in areas that we've never been in, at least since I've been at the regional center. Thank you all very much for joining us today. We look forward to talking to folks next week. Glad to hear from Alchemy, and thank you also, Michael, for your presentation as well. Thanks, guys.